Hello, everyone, to our four viewers right now. My name is Zark, and I am joined by Ada of the Science of Assassin's Creed, and Arsh of AC Landmarks. And today we are gonna be taking you on a tour of Shay Cormac's world in Assassin's Creed Rogue. And before we do, I just want to give a shout out to Bree. Thank you for coming over from the Discord. Nice to see you over here. And also to my kapabayan in the chat, Miss Benzai B. Magandang gabi bayan. Let us start right now. And the first thing we're gonna do. What is the first thing we're gonna do actually?
The first thing we're going to do is go to Mount Vernon, no?
I think we're gonna go to Mount Vernon first. All right, so this is Shay's first assassination mission, and it's a bittersweet is kind of putting it mildly, but we'll say conflicted. Very, very conflicted, and if for those of you who haven't played it, you'll see why at the end. But we'll see what happens over here. So, Mount Vernon is the plantation for the Washington family. It began as a 1.5-story house built in 1734 by George Washington's father, Augustine Washington. Augustine moved his family to the property, which was first known as the Little Hunting Creek Plantation. And they lived there for about 3 years. And when Augustine's family moved, George Washington was around 2 years old at the time. The family had later moved to Ferry Farm across the Rappahannock River in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Later on, but it received its well-known name in 1743. From Lawrence Washington, George Washington's half brother and Shay's first assassination target. Let me see over here. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes while also looking where I'm going at the same time. So when Augustine Washington died in 1743, he left the property over to Lawrence Washington. And then not long after, Lawrence had renamed it to Mount Vernon in honor of Admiral Edward Vernon, his commander, while serving in the Virginia Foot Regiments. Lawrence died of tuberculosis in July 1752 and left Mount Vernon to his daughter Sarah, his only living child. He stated in his will that if Sarah died without any offspring, then the property would go to Lawrence's wife, Anne Fairfax Washington. But George Washington began running the estate in 1754 because as soon as Anne took ownership of the property, she actually began leasing it to George Washington. And Lawrence further stated in his will that that upon Anne's passing, that Mount Vernon would pass over to George. And when Anne died in 1761, George Washington became the owner of the property.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I thought George Washington just like assumed that Mount Vernon was his.
Typical American.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? But well, he could be the first American. But yeah. Continue on.
Yeah. Hold on a minute, because this is kind of a difficult spot over here. But so in 1759, January 6, 1759, George Washington married a woman named Martha Danbridge Custis, and in April, George Washington's new family and their slaves actually moved to Mount Vernon. and just before their and since George Washington was running the property, he actually oversaw each renovation, advising on design, construction, decoration, despite being away through through all major renovations during this time. The first renovation actually occurred during the 7 Years' War, and then the next one occurred during the Revolutionary War. I'm actually gonna, yeah, I'm actually gonna hand it over to someone over here, to my co-host over here, because I just got detected.
It's hard. So maybe Arsh can take over.
Yeah. Where in the notes were
So, I have it highlighted. The Washington's
Okay.
first major renovation of the house began in the late 1750s, where the roof was raised to create a full second story and a third floor garret.
Oh, okay, got it. So,
Now you think he had something
taking
to do
over,
with the artifact.
so while Washington likely left the footprint of the first floor largely intact, he reconfigured the staircase and the second floor rooms at this time, and the closets, or like one-story extensions, were added on the north and south ends of the house. Washington also stated in his diary that the house had four principal dependencies attached to the main house by quote-unquote palisades on low brick walls. Washington was away during the majority of the construction during the 7 Years' War. Because he was serving in the 7 Years' War. The conflict actually arises in Assassin's Creed Rogue. In his absence, the work was supervised through coordinated efforts by William Fairfax of Belvoir, who was a family friend who owned an adjoining state, and I think other people that oversaw the construction were Humphrey Knight, literally the overseer of the construction, and John Patterson, who was the carpenter at this time. While the construction was overseen by Fairfax, Knight, and Patterson, the majority of the work was actually done by Washington's enslaved labor force, of course, because slave labor was big during this time. So unfortunately, slaves built this place. Washington first rusticated the mansion in 1758 to make it appear constructed of structural sandstone blocks, which were
So rusticate, if I may, since I'm kind of at a good spot here. So rustication is basically the process of taking a wood siding or a wooden frame and making it look like stone, basically. So if I see my notes, I think it was like pine, or something. I forget the name. I forget the name of the wood off the top of my head, but yeah, that was the process of it. And currently, efforts to preserve the wood include sandblasting, since it's at least 2 centuries old. At this point, it's going to be 3 cent. It's almost 3 centuries old, actually. So, but yeah, sorry about that. You can go ahead.
I'm still surprised at, like, stands and stuff, like especially like when you're turning wood to look like it's wood to look like a stone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of amazing. I actually haven't heard of this term rustication until now.
Neither have I, actually. So.
Well, there we go. You learn something new every day. So Yeah, so before Washington began construction work in 1774, he executed a design drawing uh, showing how he intended the west front of the mansion to look like. The drawing shows the facade as completely symmetrical with the front door and cupola on the center axis, with the windows balanced to either side of it. But in truth, the door and the do you pronounce it copula? No,
Yeah.
cupola?
I think it's cupola. Like
Okay.
like the film director. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Francis Coppola. Well, the door and the cupola did not align, and nor are the windows symmetrically
How can that be?
placed.
Makes no sound.
The construction of the stair in 1758 pushed the door to the north and a window south out of the passage and into the small dining room. This break with the architectural ideal is a good example of the value Washington placed on practical
Now I must find
solutions to challenging questions. We covered the 7 Years' War construction. Now we're moving into the second expansion that was in 1774.
This is just 2 years before the Revolutionary War. For those of you who are gonna keep track.
Yeah. So first a two-story addition was added to the south end of the house. It contained a study for Washington on the first floor, small service spaces on either side of the study, and a bedroom and dressing room for himself and Martha Washington on the second floor. This addition was completed in 1775. Washington was away for the majority of the renovation project as well. Because the guy was busy making a name for himself, attending the Second Continental Congress and then leading the Continental Army, of course. By the way, you get to see George's address to the Continental Army in Assassin's Creed 3. So we'll get to that. That's actually a really cool story, but we'll save that for Assassin's Creed 3.
Which will be next week.
Not next week.
Oh, not next week.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, because we gotta cover Connor's
Then I'll worry.
grandfather first. Thing. Edward
Oh,
Kenway.
right.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, this time when George was away with like the Second Continental Congress and the Continental Army, Washington's manager and distant cousin Lund Washington supervised the work until George returned home in December of 1783. Mount Vernon has a full basement, but there are no secret passages leading from it, which is kind of ironic. The mansion basement or cellar was an extremely important part of life in the mansion. A large room at the south end of the building was designated as the cellar kitchen on a plan prepared by George Washington in 1774. This space appears to have been used as a kitchen for the enslaved individuals assigned to serve the Washington household. On the plan, 3 smaller spaces are shown subdividing the room on the west side. These rooms are not extant, but structural evidence indicates that they were constructed, along with a staircase which connected the basement to a landing adjacent to George Washington's study on the floor above.
Gentlemen,
At least one of the rooms probably served as quarters for, frankly, an enslaved butler. Additionally, 22-foot deep brick-lined dry well is set into the floor of the north end and was used to store food items. Oh, look, we arrived to the meeting with Lawrence Washington. That's cool.
Yeah, we had a small cameo with George Washington there if you missed it. So, but
oh yeah, yes, very very small cameo. Yeah. By the way, a small thing about Lawrence Washington, he's portrayed as like a villain in AC Rogue, where like, you know, in real life, the guy really cared about his image, and he also cared for his half brother George Washington, going as far as, like, you know, he tried to get George Washington out of politics sometimes, which is why you see him being super defensive over his brother, with the Templars. So yeah. Oh my God, you made Lawrence Washington go crazy.
yeah,
How dare you?
Nice.
How dare you? That's not how he died. I was kidding. Anywho, let me see. So, beginning in 1776, the North End was also expanded to include a large two-story entertaining space called the New Room, with its two-story high ceiling, detailed architectural ornamentation, and stylish furnishings. The New Room intended to convey unpretentious beauty and fine craftsmanship, qualities Washington believed communicated the new nation's values. Washington summed up his ambitious goals for the room in a letter written while he was away fighting in the Revolutionary War. He said, "I would have the whole executed in a masterly manner." The interior was not completed until around 1787, but in the late 70s, in this terms 1770s, Mount Vernon received several impressive features: a large pediment with an oval ox eye window, a cupola again. God, I hope I'm not butchering that phrase. And a two-story piazza along the east facade. While a classically inspired pediment was not an unusual feature on large houses of the time, cupolas were not commonly found in domestic architecture, being more associated with public buildings. And while small porches could be found adorning houses throughout the colonies, Mount Vernon's full-width two-story form was unique to its kind. So in 1787, Washington designed and ordered a weather vane from Philadelphia. Artisan Joseph
Rakestraw.
Washington explained that he, quote unquote, should like to have a bird with an olive branch in its mouth. The bird need not be large, for I do not expect that it will traverse with the wind, and therefore may receive the real shape of a bird with spread wings. Supporting this dove of peace, weather vane, and the wooden
I don't know. Perhaps.
finial and
Can't be sure.
copper ball that were installed with it is a large wrought iron lightning rod that has protected the mansion for over 2 centuries. The whole assembly completed the cupola, which had been left so long unfinished. Unfortunately, because of the increased air pollution around Washington, D.C. area, the original Dove of Peace weather vane had to be permanently removed in 1993. Today, an exact replica rests in its place. Mount Vernon is 10 times the size of the average home in colonial Virginia, at almost 11,000 square feet with 2.5 stories and a full cellar. The mansion dwarfed the majority of dwelling houses in late 18th century Virginia. Most Virginians lived in 1 or 2 room houses, ranging in size from roughly 200 to 1,200 square feet. Most of these houses could have fit inside the 24 times 31 foot new room. The ceilings of the mansion vary in height. The average height on the first floor is 10 is that 10 foot 9 inches?
Yeah, 10 foot 9 inches, while the third floor is 7 foot 3.
Yeah, well, the third floor is 7 foot 3. But yeah, that's Mount Vernon for you. It's a big historical estate of the Americas that lives on to nowadays. Can you visit Mount Vernon?
Yes, you can. In fact, all of that information that I got was from the Mount Vernon Association or Historical Society's website. But
Nice.
you can visit it today. It's in Virginia, and you can also take a virtual tour of it on the website, where they also show you photographs of the artifacts that are over there, as well as the rooms. So yeah, if you ever are if you ever go to Virginia, or if you live near the Virginia area, it's right over there. I think it's just outside of DC, but I don't know how far it is outside of DC. But I just went back over here just so we can finish up. Before we move on to our next topic, we can move on to our first trivia question, since this is also a trivia session.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to begin with a question about Assassin's Creed Rogue. And, well, this one is very easy, and I know that you two know the answer, so I'd rather you don't say anything.
No problem at all.
So let's let the chat answer. During which war is set Assassin's Creed Rogue? I'm going to put it as well on the chat.
World War One? I'm just kidding. It is technically World War One, though. Technically.
Yeah, because the
Well,
seven.
yeah.
Because the 7 year. Because from what I read a little bit of the 7 years war.
Oh, dear God.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Meg is correct, and it's the 7 Years' War, of course. So that's
Yeah.
the main setting of the game. What we see is several battles, but the main setting is the 7-Year War. Okay,
Yeah.
so Meg gets to choose for the next time, and we can go to the next. Well, not really a location. What we have next is a character, actually, an individual. We have Benjamin Franklin.
Before we do that, Gabby, you were gonna say something about the 7 Years War. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
You
all
want to
good.
say something? Yeah.
It's all good. But,
No, but-
because from what I read a little bit on the 7 Years War, it was people actually consider it as the first global war, because of the not only the nations involved, but also how expansive these nations had become, because you had the British Empire, and then you also had the French Empire with its reach, not only in the Americas but also in other parts of the world as well, like Africa and Asia, which you will see. Um, Actually, let's go back to the ship over here. So if you're familiar with the mini game with the fleet campaign, you and the British progression of the fleet campaign, you will see how expansive this war really is. Even though it's just set in the Americas front, just to show it on the screen over here before we move on to Benjamin Franklin. So let's access our fleet.
Also, if you want like a deep explainer of 7 Years' War, because like the history of it is so like complicated, and we don't want complicated in this stream. Go to Geohistory on YouTube. I left a link on the chat, and they will explain to you everything about the 7 Years' War very, very clearly.
If the links are not showing up, sorry, if the links are not showing up on the chat, I will put them in the video description when I edit at the end of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us know if the links are showing or not, chat. So yeah. So what's next?
So I was just showing the fleet campaign over here, but just so you would see the reach of the 7 Years' War, and as you can see, it's very, very expansive, all the way up to like not only in the Americas but South America, just virtually every continent except Antarctica, of course.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time where there was war that North America was like part of it. So it's a war that is glossed over, but if it was not for this war, America wouldn't have been America. The British really spent a lot of money on this war that it left them penniless and depending on the colonies, which led to the anger of the colonies to make their own thing.
Yeah. So now we're gonna move on to our next topic, which is Benjamin Franklin.
Yes. Okay, booted, and yeah, I'll start explaining him a little bit. It's actually quite short, but well, I think especially people that live in the US or
in Philadelphia, my
Philadelphia, know a
accent.
lot, or know a lot about the US. Well, you will know that Benjamin Franklin, he was a very versatile intellectual and a major figure in the American Enlightenment. He was active as a writer, as a scientist, inventor, statesman, diplomat, printer, publisher, and also political philosopher. And also, contrary to popular belief, especially outside of the US, the United States of America, he was never a US president. And this is actually a concept that me as an adult, I realized about it. I did think he was a US president, but only because he's a founding father, so he's actually quite famous. And he was also the first US postmaster general, but he never got the presidency. That was probably confusing with Thomas Jefferson, I think. So
he got the $100 bill though.
Yeah, he got the $100 bill indeed. A bunch of stamps, and isn't his face also on Mount Rushmore?
No, it's not.
No? I didn't reach it. Okay, because he wasn't president, I guess.
He didn't get that honor.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Considering everything he did, kind of a shame, but oh well.
Yeah. Just to keep, I just also want to note because for those of you who know me personally, I'm based in Philadelphia, which is a city associated with Benjamin Franklin. Even though I don't think he's originally from Philadelphia, but
No, he's not.
but yeah, but either way, if you happen to go over there, there is a reenactor of Benjamin Franklin in Philadelphia, and I've actually seen the remnants of his house. But by the remnants of his house, the foundation is there, and there's a frame of where it once stood. It's not standing anymore, and I think it's behind one of the like a post office, one of the first post offices actually in colonial America and in the United States. But yeah,
Well,
it's
makes
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, if you ever do visit Philadelphia, specifically the Old City neighborhood, which is where you have Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, that's where you will find the remnants of Benjamin Franklin's house. And I'm gonna fail this tailing mission
That's
now.
cool. That's cool.
So he was also a deputy postmaster working for the British before the whole revolution happened. So that's probably why he was, that thing that you explained about one of the first post offices in Philadelphia. Okay, so he was a writer, like I said, and one of the things that he published. And actually, it was in this week's quiz from the Assassin's Creed, the 15 years, the celebration, is that he published the Paul Richards Almanac. And he published it under a pseudonym, under Richard Saunders. But everyone knew it was him, so yeah. And the almanac was continuously published from 1732 to 1758. Then, in 1741, Franklin began publishing the General Magazine and Historical Chronicle for all the British plantations in America. And of course, his most famous moment as a writer, I guess, was that he was part of the Committee of Five that drafted the Declaration of Independence. Although he did not join the meetings that often, because he was sick. He had gout and everything. He was also very obese, so he had a lot of health issues. But I think it was Thomas Jefferson that used to mail him the changes that they had made to the draft, so he could actually participate in this draft together with everyone else.
It's interesting that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting that with each great historical figure, they have sicknesses that disable them from being kind of just they have sicknesses that makes them human at the end of the day, that they can't tend to everything, which is cool.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, and but if you think about it, these men, because it's actually mostly men, they were well off. They were people that they were okay in the society, so they had access to good food. And back in the day, you either died of infections or of a bullet or a sword, of course. And in other cases of gout. So gout was the disease of the kings back in, especially during the Renaissance, I think. In Europe, a lot of kings died of that, or at least were sick with gout.
You don't hear gout a lot nowadays, do you?
No, you don't actually, but people still have it. It's just not as expanded.
Yeah. When I had physical therapy last year, actually my father just had gout last year, so yeah, it's still pretty normal. But I've also seen people afflicted with gout go to physical therapy for it. So yeah, it's still relevant today, but wonders of modern medicine can alleviate that now, I guess.
Hope your father is doing well.
Yeah, but yeah, it was like a while back, so it's
that's good.
Yeah.
Nice,
Wow.
That's good. Okay, so the inventions of Benjamin Franklin, well, these are probably the most known, aside from the he being a founding father. The inventions were never patented, actually, because he thought that everyone should be able to enjoy them, which is actually very nice of him, to be honest. Nowadays, it's almost impossible to get unpatented inventions that you can use, especially related to biomedical sciences or technology in general. So there's that.
Yeah. So in terms of computer science, he was basically the first open source advocate.
Yeah,
before Richard Stallman.
Exactly. So among his inventions, the most famous are what we see actually in this game is the lightning rod. Lightning rod, which is a metal rod that is used to protect structures from lightning strikes. And he achieved this final invention by starting with flying a kite in a storm in order to prove that lightning is electricity. And I think we're going to see this almost now. Huh? I think Zark is pretty much getting there.
Yeah, Zark is running.
Yeah, until we get there, because he's actually running away from...
Yeah, I know.
From the British. But yeah, so another invention is the Franklin stove, which is a metal-lined fireplace that produces more heat and less smoke than ordinary open fireplaces. Although it was not that popular, so it didn't have a lot of sales, but it was later improved by David Rittenhouse, and then it got more popular. One thing that is still used nowadays are the bifocal glasses. And these, if you have glasses or you know anyone that has glasses, you know that these are useful for people that have more than one eyesight problem in the same eye. Although they tend to get you quite dizzy, so you have to adjust to them for a long period of time. And, the flexible urinary catheter was also an invention of his. I think we're about to see the kite
rod.
flying. Yeah, the lightning rod. Well, meanwhile, I'll continue with the flexible urinary catheter. So one of his brothers, another brother of his, he had kidney stones, I think it was, or bladder stones. And they tended to use very rigid metal urinary catheters, in which apparently, of course, they were really painful. I mean, imagine putting a piece of metal up your urethra. That's horrible, if you're not into that. And he invented one that had segments, so you could actually, bend it, and it was easier to introduce in the urethra. So easier, and it caused less pain as well. And lastly, another invention was actually the harmonica. Yeah.
He created it?
Yeah, apparently he did. I did not know this. He copied, he copied it because he could see, I think it was from the British that could make noises with their hands or something, putting them in front of their mouths. And he invented the harmonica.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there is a harmonica, not a handheld one, but like a furnished one, like a sort of table. And I think also with the stove that you can craft an AC3. But I forget what happens in it. Like, you remember those special items that you can craft in AC3, but they're not like you can't put them on your convoy to trade.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk more about that in AC3 week.
Yeah. We already have quite a lot going on in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a scientist, aside from the experiments for his inventions, of course, he was also very interested in demography and oceanography, and he took notes on the population growth and the reasons behind it. So he noticed that given the resources that were present in America, the population in America was growing, in the United States of America. The population there was growing, I think it was 20 times or as fast as other countries. It was amazing, like the fastest in the world, according to him. And also, as deputy postmaster, he became interested in the North Atlantic Ocean circulation patterns, because he knew that British packet ships carrying mail took several weeks longer to reach New York than it took just the merchant ship to reach Newport in Rhode Island. Even though that the merchant voyage was way longer when talking about actual distance. So this is how he and his cousin Timothy Folger, and experienced ship captains, charted the Gulf Stream, the famous Gulf Stream.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did not know that either.
Yeah.
Then, on a bit of a darker note, Benjamin Franklin owned several slaves and also posted paid ads for slave sales and runaway slaves as well. Although later in life, he would speak critically about slavery and also try to abolish it.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit onto this too. The thing, Franklin, like later in his life, the thing that got him to go for slavery is that he saw enslaved kids when he went to a tour. I think it was to a school or something. It's covered in the podcast that Ada will talk about. But yeah, like he later in his life before he died, he tried to get slavery to be not a thing for the U.S., but that wouldn't have been possible until 1856. Yeah.
Yeah. So he died in the end in 1790 of a pleuritic attack, of all things. It was not gout, or it was probably an infection related to the lungs, in general, respiratory failure. And he was 89 years old when that happened. So he actually lived quite a long life, considering it was the 18th century. And of course, his legacy is still enjoyed by people both in the US and also, the rest of the world. There's definitely a lot to say about this character, about Benjamin Franklin, but we have time constraints. So I wanted to make sure that people watching this know that there's a podcast made about Benjamin Franklin by Paradiso Media for Ubisoft called Echoes of History. We have referenced this already in the last two streams, I think. And you will find the link in the description of this stream or the video when it's posted. And I recommend you that you listen to it. I have not fully listened to it myself, but Ash mentioned that it's quite good and quite complete. It's not very long; it's less than 20 minutes, so I would go for it.
Yeah. Plus, the host of the podcast sounds like Sean Hastings.
Oh,
So yeah, whenever I listen to him, I just imagine Sean is talking to me. Thing about the character's description.
Oh, I totally see though if he speaks about Benjamin Franklin to be super cheeky about it, considering he's British.
Hopefully, I forgot, but yeah, he is a great commentator on the events that happened in like Benjamin's life. Like he's been doing like Marquis de Sade, Cleopatra,
Jack the Ripper as well, right?
Jack the Ripper. God, Jack the Ripper episode was dark, but it has to be. It's Jack the Ripper.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go to the next, we do another quiz question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Meg chose Assassin's Creed Revelations. And let me pull it up. Okay, here. Ooh, this one is difficult. So in what year did Ezio arrive to Masyaf for the first time?
Oh.
Yeah, it's tricky, yeah?
I don't remember this.
Yeah, you're not going to like the multiple choice.
Yeah. I have a year in my head, but I don't want to. I'm actually gonna leave.
No, go for it. Go for it. Come on, try.
Nah, I'm gonna leave it to chat. To answer it. So.
let's give them 30 seconds or something. Otherwise, I'll just put the multiple choice.
Oh, 1511?
Dude, I thought you didn't want to answer.
No. I'm reading Meg's answer on the chat.
Oh yeah, it's correct. It's 1511. That's correct.
Crime under control and not a Frenchman.
That's correct. Yeah. Goddamn, Meg. Jesus. She's the queen of the quizzes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Good job, Mac. Good job.
Yeah. Well done, Meg. Okay. Well, we can continue with the next location then.
All
Yeah,
right.
you guys can hear me fine, right?
Yeah.
Just a second. I'm putting this. I'm putting that we're about to cover the Lisbon earthquake on Twitter. It's an event that many people associate with AC Rogue. Dude, I didn't know anything about this event until I played AC Rogue, which is
About
awesome.
the earthquake in Lisbon, you mean?
Yeah. Like,
Oh, I did know because it affected my my hometown back in the 18th century.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. After I saw what happened in like Lisbon, I became very much interested in like learning Lisbon's history. So yeah, with that said, let's move to the Lisbon earthquake that happened in the year 1755. Actually, when Shay is headed to Lisbon, the screen reads November 1755 when he's making his voyage over there, and I think in fact it was November 1st 1755, so November started with a very bad note in 1755. The church during this day was packed with people attending mass because it was actually a religious holiday. It's called All Saints Day. It's a Catholic holiday that at about like 9:30 a.m. the church's roof started to shake because a magnitude of 8.7 earthquake had hit Lisbon. The churchgoers who survived the roof falling ran to the streets, just as you're gonna see in AC Rogue. The churchgoers, like the basically candles, stoves, oil lamps, fell igniting fire which burned down half the city during this time, and about like 45 minutes after the shaking began, a 5 to 10 meter tall tsunami hit the Tagus River, which was Lisbon's main river, which people were using to escape from. So yeah, Gabby, you were gonna say something?
I just want to. I just wanted to
sorry.
clarify. I'm sorry. It's all right. But I just wanted to clarify. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Catholic customs, All Saints Day is always on the, and probably correct me if I'm wrong since I was raised Catholic. All Saints Day is always on November 1st. It usually takes place after Halloween or All Hallows Eve, which is October 31st. And also I remember reading something over here. I forget the source. I think it was the wiki, that if you see the opening cutscene where the priest is gesturing towards the crowd while going through the ritual of communion. I read somewhere that that is actually wrong, because the ritual of having the priest look towards the congregation took place, like, I think, like with Vatican II, but Vatican II wasn't until like the 1970s. During this time, all of the priests would look towards the cross and away from the congregation, not at and they would recite the passages during that incantation, recite the passages at the cross, not at the congregation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I don't like about this segment in AC Rogue is like the lack of people in the church. Well, in the convent, like nowadays. Well, not nowadays. Like during this event, because it does say a lot of people were at church. But you see no people. They could have used AC Unity's people over here. You get what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I remember the
But
developers saying in this remaster that they added more crowds, but it doesn't look like there's a lot.
I know,
Still,
right?
yeah, interesting.
Where are the crowds, AC? Where are the crowds? Anyhow, thank you for explaining that. By the way, I didn't know about like the ritualistic practices that they did at this church. So I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah. So this tsunami that hit well, not the temple, just Lisbon in itself. It smashed the ships against one another and against the sea walls surrounding the city. Like, Lisbon on November 1st, 1755 was basically, it was like the world was ending for them. So much so that the earthquake was called the Great Lisbon Earthquake, which killed an estimated 70,000 people, which made it the worst natural disaster in recorded European history. The event helped give birth to the field of seismology, actually. 3 distinct jolts of earthquakes were felt during the Lisbon earthquake. I'm gonna name the first 2 jolts, like they're named the jolts from my research. It's jolts P and S, and they were seismic. With S, the second one being the slower but the more deadly and damaging one than the P jolt that happened first. The third jolt seemed to have occurred many minutes from the initial P and S jolts, but it's still like, it's still debated. The thing, there was this guy, his name was Davy. His name was Davy, and I forgot what his actual name was, though. I do have Davy over here. I'll let you know in a second. But Davy is a primary source in this event because he wrote about the event, and he experienced the P and S waves. He said that all around Lisbon there were cries of I might butcher this, but it's Misericordia Mio Dios, which is in English, mercy, my God. Yeah, people were really, really afraid back in this time. But after the earthquake, though, Portugal's king, Joseph I, commissioned Sebastião José de Carvalho e Melo. Basically, I'm gonna call this guy Marquis de Pombal because he did become a marquis later in his life, and he supervised and coordinated recovery efforts in Lisbon. I mean, we can thank this guy for so much seismology studies that happened. Corpses were buried in mass or ferried out to sea to avoid an epidemic. Like, you know, they didn't want to get more sickness. And new building practices were put into place prior to construction. Models of buildings were first built and tested to gauge their resistance to earthquake shaking, which was simulated by groups of Portuguese troops marching around the models. Today, many buildings in Lisbon stand as the world's first structures to be earthquake resistant. Pombal also ordered surveys to be sent to parishes across the country. These survey questions included how many aftershocks were felt, did the shaking come from one direction, what happened to the wells and water, would help those questions. It would help modern seismologists construct isosymmetrical maps which depict the varying levels of shaking in a region during an earthquake. Shaking levels which correlate with the modified Mercalli scale, which seismologists use today to scale earthquakes. It also became because like of this event, like this scale that was set. It's the reason, like, you know, this great earthquake basically started conversations about hey, we really need to check these stuff. But researchers currently think that the shaking in Lisbon that was caused by this earthquake in 1755 reached level 10, like it's level X, with the strongest shaking at this time being recorded as level 11 in Algrave. Like, this was around the time of the Lisbon earthquake, and it was along Portugal's southern coast, being close to the epicenter of where the Lisbon earthquake began. When all was done, though, Davy, who survived, said that this extensive and opulent city is now nothing but a vast heap of ruins. The rich and the poor are at present upon a level. Of course, the roofless Carmel convent is one of the only reminders of the city's destruction. And you can see the roofless Carmel convent in Lisbon nowadays too. So yeah.
And right now we are back in Shay's present time, and but yeah, that that was a really big turning point, and it really and having with Shay having lived through that, with anyone who lived through that, just the trauma of it would just the trauma that Shay had experienced was enough to turn for him to turn his back on the assassins. So
Yeah, and he already had his doubts in the beginning, but definitely living through something like that, even if you're not a Templar or an assassin, that would shake the foundations of your beliefs. I mean, definitely.
Literally. Like a thing, a literal shaking that he experienced like shaking in his beliefs.
It was pun not intended, but I guess it worked out anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like anyone that would suffer such big stuff like this would would have like an aftershock, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Of what they just experienced. Yeah, I would too, Meg. Thing that I would definitely visit Lisbon. Like one of my life goals is to travel to I think each city that Assassin's Creed has made, just so I can go see the landmarks that they feature in the game, and kind of have fun over there.
I have been in Lisbon. It's definitely worth visiting. Absolutely. In the top of the city, there's this castle, which I think it used to be a Templar castle, actually, or it's something related to it, because there's a lot of history, Templar history in Portugal, because after after everything that happened with Jacques de Molay and everything, the Templars had to retreat, so they did not completely disappear. What they did is go to other areas in Europe. So they went to Scotland, they went to Portugal, the northwest of Spain, and they changed their name to a different order. I don't remember now the name of it, but it's sort of similar to the original name. So like the Poor Order of the Knights of Jesus or something like that. And yeah, that's why there are a lot of there's a lot of presence. Well, they already built it before. They had all the issues with the French king, but yeah, they had a lot of presence in Portugal, so you can visit a lot of stuff there related to them, even in Lisbon. And Lisbon, the aesthetic of the city is amazing. It feels a lot like a mixture between traveling back in time to the 50s or the 60s, like in Cuba. Like if you have ever been in Cuba, it's sort of similar feeling, but definitely more European and more modern in other aspects. So very, very colorful city. Yeah, you should definitely go.
Who changed their name?
The Templars, they changed their name. The Order of the Templars. Not in the Assassin's Creed game, but in the in real life.
Yeah,
the Order changed the name.
Yeah, you said they changed it to something that began with like poor. It just made me flash back to when Alfred called himself
the poor fellow soldier
of Christ. Huh?
The poor fellow soldier of Christ. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor fellow soldier of Christ.
Who called himself like that?
Alfred.
King Alfred of Wessex
in
Valhalla.
Oh,
yeah. Alfred of Wessex used to call himself poor soldier, poor fellow soldier of Christ, to send messages to the Raven clan.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now because they definitely changed the name, but maybe I said it wrong because the original name was not really. The original name of the Templar Order was the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. That's the original name.
Exactly.
And the name that they changed it to, oh god damn it.
You don't You don't have to.
No, I have it here. They changed it to the Military Order of Christ.
Oh.
Well,
So
I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
it was founded in 1319 in Portugal. Like I said, they definitely started it in Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting. Eh?
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Templars. Gotta love them.
Yeah. All right.
Or gotta hate them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's do a quiz question. Yeah, if we have time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yep.
We have around 15 minutes. We have around 15 minutes left in this stream, but
Oh wow.
yeah.
Let's see. You guys can go even further if you guys want, because all I have left is like the Fort William Henry one to
Oh,
like give
okay.
out. I don't want to. I don't want to stop you guys. You know.
Oh, no, that's all right. If you cannot continue, I can always, or we can always make a few threads on Twitter about what we did not cover, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's your choice. I'm just putting it out. That after. Hello?
Yeah. So Meg chose Brotherhood. I'm going to quickly do the question. Okay. So, which of the following people was not present when the doors of Monteriggioni were breached during its siege in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood?
Ooh.
And I'm going to put the multiple choice. So you can see it.
Which of the following people?
Okay, there you go.
Following
It's
people was-
Juan Borgia, Battista Borgia, Cesare Borgia, or Lucrezia Borgia. Which one was not when the doors of Monteriggioni were breached?
Oh.
Lucrezia was there. Cesare was definitely there.
Ooh, tricky. No, so Akiba Lashir is not correct. It's not Juan Borgia. Eh?
Juan Borgia. So Battista Borgia?
It was Battista Borgia, yes. So Juan
Yeah.
Borgia is the banker, okay? He's that cardinal that you have to assassinate in sequence 5, if I'm not wrong, I think.
Imagine that cardinal coming there with his cardinal clothes that he wore when we assassinated him. because he was like topless and everything.
Yeah.
And anywho,
We'll explain more about that in Brotherhood Week.
Exactly, yeah. Let's not...
Speaking of sieges, I think let's talk about Siege of Fort William Henry.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Just to preface this, even though we're gonna talk about it, if I'm sorry if Archer's gonna explain it. I just want to preface that this is not depicted. It is only mentioned in game. But it's not depicted, which is kind of a shame though. But I'll leave it to Arch to explain the background to this memory.
It's kind of depicted because I mean, Kasigawase is like the representation of the Native Americans in this one of the Indian tribes. So they don't have like a whole Indians versus British showdown. That's in the Last of the Mohicans movie. If you guys want to go see it.
That is also a book, by the way, and I would also recommend it.
Yeah, I think I've actually like broken down that that movie when I was younger. Um, but I didn't know that it correlated with this event, Siege of Fort William Henry, because back in the day I was young. I didn't know. A thing. So Assassin's Creed taught me a few histories, which is great. But but yeah, so in during the 7 Years' War in the mid 18th century, the British and French armies, who were aided by Indian tribes, who allied with both sides, like you had Indian tribes who allied with the British and Indian tribes who allied with the French armies. Um, they fought a big battle at Lake George in New York. This battle took place on September 8, 1755, and it was called the Battle of Lake George, being original over here. Um, After the British built Fort William Henry at the south end of Lake George, just as like a garrison, and it survived for like 2 years. The problem was it was located on land claimed by the French. So, the French were like, no, 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 you guys have to leave. A thing, and the fort, the fort's garrison was numbered about 2,300 soldiers. These were of mixed ethnicities, just like people. It was a mix of British soldiers, American colonial militiamen that were commanded by a career soldier you may know of that is in Assassin's Creed Rogue. He is the Lieutenant Colonel George Monroe that you are going to see in this mission. Shay has actually come over here to save him from the ambush that is going to take place very soon. But yeah, the fort was surrounded by 30-foot thick walls and was itself a square enclosure that was surrounded by an outer moat. A moat is a deep earth layer that disables you from reaching the big fort itself. I think this was a moat was also discussed in the Bastille in AC Unity's stream, because the Bastille, when it was first founded as like a defensive fortification, did have a moat too. But yeah, in each corner were diamond-shaped bastions in this fort, so it can allow its defenders to catch attackers in a crossfire. The fort was also carefully constructed on the orders of a guy you may know from Assassin's Creed 3 and Rogue, William Johnson. We will go over William Johnson more during Assassin's Creed 3, but he constructed it to be a base that was, to be a British base. On August 1757, an overwhelming force of about 10,000 French soldiers and Indians from Canada advanced south from Fort Carillon. That's Carillon. See over here when you see Pistigwase attacking, that's like, the Indians coming into contact with the British, and this is where the war happens between them. So I'm coming into that discussion right now. So this is where the French laid siege to Fort William Henry. The garrison held out for like 6 days before they surrendered on August 10th, 1757 to Louis Louis Joseph de Montcalm goes on. He was the Marquis de Saint Veron. Let's just call him Montcalm. So Montcalm offered generous terms to Monroe, and Monroe actually mentions this in Assassin's Creed Rogue, how Montcalm was fair in agreeing to a parley. Unfortunately, it was this parley that left the Native American, that left the Indian tribes kind of like sidelined, because as the British were retreating from Fort William Henry and being escorted by the French guard to Fort Edward, which was a little bit more down the road. There are 3 forts. There is Fort Carillon, that there's like northernmost fort. You go down and it's Fort William Henry, and then you go more down as the British were retreating, and that's Fort Edward. So the British were retreating to Fort Edward, and they were attacked by Montcalm's Indian allies. It is said that the Indians killed many British soldiers and took many of them prisoners to Canada, where they were being held for ransom. Early chroniclers of this event exaggerated the number of British fatalities to be 1,500, but thanks to period documents that we have from that time, those fatalities were closer to 185 soldiers dying in this battle. Again, it's exaggerated to create mass hysteria. Now, why all this massacre? Because Montcalm, when he had the parley with Monroe, did not end up being the man of his word to the Indians. Modern historians state that Montcalm's allies were promised plunder in exchange of their help in the expedition against the British. But when Montcalm and Monroe had their talks, the surrender agreement did not let Indians receive the plunder. Their attack, therefore, was a last-minute attempt to win plunder. Reports state that they even went digging the cemetery of Fort William Henry looking for booty. The problem was many who were dead at Fort William Henry died because of a highly contagious disease of that time, smallpox. And smallpox, being highly contagious, got into the natives, which was taken and spread across villages in eastern Canada. After this horrible event, the French removed any supplies from the fort and burned it down, returning to their own Fort Carillon. This event would also unify the British and the American colonists against the Indians and the French, and fuel their rage to end the war in their favor, which did happen. And kind of like a ripple effect. Like they were so determined to win the war that they spent so much money on it, and it also led to the birth of the United States.
Just to clarify, when you speak about Indians, do you mean Native Americans? Yeah.
Yeah, like the Indian tribes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an event that is overlooked in history, but yeah, the 7 Years' War and the events that it had really changed the world. It was the first big war of like the almost modern era that changed how humanity spread its influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we just finished the memory, no? This is the...
Yeah.
Unless this a naval battle, because I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, the memory is done.
So,
I think.
do you, Zark, prefer to just do a last question and leave it here, or do you want to continue?
If you guys are still available, we can continue. I'm still good personally.
I'm fine. Yeah, I can continue for a bit longer.
Okay.
I would have to. Let me see. I would have to leave because I have like other I have another place to be at, but the thing is, I don't want to leave you guys over here.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, that it really depends. We can. What is left actually?
There is 1, 2, 3 topics left, but I'm good with just the first 2 personally, since they're both story related.
Which one and which one?
The Siege of Louisbourg and the Arctic, which is Shay's last mission.
Okay, let's do it like that. Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So
hopefully we can finish by 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we will.
11 my time.
Oh, that's when you have to leave.
I mean, I have to leave like earlier, but I can stay and like do some work while you guys talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do a quiz question now. So Blue Taiga requested Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Let me see. Meanwhile, you can already look for the next mission, Zark.
Yeah, I started playing it, and then you were gonna ask your question, so I was like,
"Oh, I'm really sorry."
No, it's fine. No, that was my bad. I jumped it, but it's okay. I have the mission ready, so.
Okay, so this one is a spicy one. I like it. So Frederick Aberline was the chief Metropolitan Police Service. The chief of Metropolitan Police Service, an ally of the Fry Twins, and a master of disguise. Which one of the following disguises did he never use in the game?
Oh,
it's nice. I would have liked to ask this one in Syndicate, to be honest, but
yeah.
Oh well. Okay, so I give you here the multiple choice. We have an old woman, a banker, a royal guard, or a factory worker. Which one did he never use?
An old woman.
Oh.
An
old woman is incorrect.
Yeah.
No, I think like he used an old woman. He used a royal guard. He used a factory work. He didn't use a wait. Did he? God, I don't know. Let's see here. He didn't use a banker. Did he?
Incorrect.
Oh wait. He helped. He helped the twins get into the Bank of England.
To assassinate Tupeni, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So factory worker.
Yes, the correct answer is factory worker, but because you failed everything else, so.
Yeah, thank you. I was doing the process of elimination.
It's okay. So D is correct. It's factory worker. I'll just choose the next question myself. But now we can begin the next location.
Alrighty then.
Yes.
So, all right. So the siege of Louisbourg. So it says over here June 1758. So it starts on June 8th and ends on July 26th. It's almost a month long. So during this conflict, the fortified French city of Louisbourg loomed over the Gulf of St. Lawrence, denying British access to the St. Lawrence River, the route to capturing key cities of Quebec and Montreal. The fortress, considered was known as the Gibraltar of the North, had been famously captured by a combination of New England militia and the British Navy in 1745, only for the Treaty of La Chapelle to return it to the French in 1748. Now, a decade later, the invading British forces looked to capture the fortress for a second time. In June 1758, ground forces under the command of Geoffrey Amherst landed outside the city and began a siege operation which, in accordance with the standard of 18th century siege warfare, meant digging a network of trenches surrounding the city. And as I do this, I'm gonna hand it over to one of my co-hosts to finish it up as I concentrate sinking this fleet with only the mortars.
It's okay, I can do it. So while Amherst's command toiled in the trenches, the British Navy remained concerned about French ships defending the harbor. Though only 5 French ships of the line remained by late July, they proved enough of a menace to receive considerable attention by way of British artillery fire. As a result, on July 21st, a cannonball penetrated one of the ships, detonating its powder magazine, and then the ensuing blaze was so hot that it set fire to the sails of 2 neighboring ships, burning all 3 down to the waterline. Then, 3 days later, on July 24th, Admiral Edward Boscawen, commander of all British vessels in North America, informed Amherst of his bold plan to capture the remaining 2 ships, the Prudent, with 74 guns, and the Bienfaisant, 64 guns. Late in the night of July 25th to the 26th, 2 squadrons under the command of Captain John Laforêt and George Balfour. I'm not sure if this is French or English. Laforêt and George Balfour, totaling approximately 600 sailors and marines, rode into the harbor and concealed by the dark and fog, and with Amherst ordering his artillery to fire into the works as much as possible to keep the enemy's attention to the land. The 2 squadrons slipped past the French battery, guarding the entrance to the harbor, of course, and approached the 2 French vessels undetected, in a very assassin fashion, actually. As Laforêt's command approached the Prudent and Captain Balfour de Bienfaisant, each was held by sentries aboard the ships. Receiving no response, the guards opened fire, breaking the silence. The squadrons then moved quickly to maneuver alongside their respective targets, capturing both ships with minimal resistance, but at the cost of 16 casualties, of 7 killed and 9 wounded. Then, hearing the events that transpired, the French defenders were alerted to the threat and opened fire upon 2 ships. Under fire, and finding the Prudent run aground, the British sailors set her ablaze. The Bienfaisant, meanwhile, was towed to the northeast corner of the harbor, safe from the French artillery fire. And then the image above, printed in 1771, depicts the Prudent caught in the blaze, while nearby the Bienfaisant is towed to safety. The following day, with Amherst's ground forces making ready to breach the city walls and Boscawen's fleet entering the harbor, the French governor sent a messenger to Amherst, initiating the surrender of the city. Discussing the siege, the historian Julian Guin notes in his book, Frigates and Foremasts, that some naval and military historians have asserted that once the British assault landing force had succeeded, the capture of the fortress with its garrison was a foregone certainty. Yet none of the British or French accounts expressed this view. He goes on to comment that the loss of these 2 warships had a profound effect on the French defenders. The morale plummeted within the town, and the fatigue occasioned by the siege, which until then had been borne without complaint, suddenly became unendurable for many. In the aftermath of these events, Captain Belfort was awarded with the command of the Bienfaisant and command of the frigate Echo to Captain Laforêt. Their lieutenants were also awarded with new commands of their own. In the short term, the event depicted was significant for breaking French morale and contributing to the success of the siege. In the long term, it opened the heart of New France, most notably the cities of Quebec and Montreal, to British invasion via the St. Lawrence River. St. Lawrence River. Having previously read about the events that transpired, this actually is our comments written by Sark, but I'll speak for him. Having previously read about the events that transpired, I was pleasantly surprised when I stumbled upon this point in our collection. I love the color of the raging fire engulfing the prudent, set in the dark, foggy night with Louisbourg in the background. Most of all, let me finish.
Sorry.
Most of all, I was caught in the suspense while reading about this risky operation. I love that you wrote this, man.
I didn't write that.
Sorry
I didn't write that actually. I'm gonna have to put the link to this. It was a historian who wrote that, and I didn't realize that I also included his opinion on it. So I will include the link to that in the description.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for the. Oh, and just in time, when you finish the memory, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been doing this a lot, where like we finish the story right as the memory finishes, and it's so satisfying.
Yeah, I totally agree. Otherwise, it can drag. Quite long. So before we go to the last one, which is the Arctic, I would like to do the last quiz question, and since no one actually answered correctly, I'm going to choose one myself, okay?
Oh, go ahead.
So I'm going to choose okay, I'm going to choose Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry DLC.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's kind of appropriate too, because if you caught the mission, we saw the ship of Adewale, so it's kind of a good connection.
Perfect then. So, where do most of the events of Freedom Cry take place?
Oh.
Oh boy.
I think Meg is going to guess it at the first try.
Let me see. Well, I'm not gonna see online, but I think James got it.
Yeah, James got it. It's in Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Or
Nice.
the way it was known before, it was known as Saint-Domingue, which is funny because Santo Domingo, Saint-Domingue, is the capital of the Dominican Republic, which is the country that is right next to Haiti. They share the island.
Yes. It was formerly wait a minute. It was formerly Hispaniola, correct? The entire island.
Yeah, exactly. The island itself is called La Española, the Hispaniola, so it's still called like that, I think.
Yeah, and then they split up. With Haiti to the west, and the Dominican Republic to the east. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job,
Okay,
dude.
so the last bit is about the Arctic.
Yeah, that big snowy feature in AC Rogue.
Yeah, so we see it actually more than once, because the memory that we're going to do actually is the last one in the game. But you go to the Arctic more than once because, yeah, it's the northern region of Canada and also in Greenland. So yeah, we go there sometimes to hunt polar bears and whatnot. So yeah, but going into the location itself, it's the northern polar region of Earth, and it includes the Arctic Ocean and parts of Canada and Greenland, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Russia, Sweden, and Alaska, which is part of the United States of America. And these states form what's called the Arctic Council. So they have an agreement, and this council veils for the well-being and interests of the Arctic population. So what we can find in this game, like I said before, are the northern parts of Canada and also Greenland, which is where the Isa Temple is most likely located. The Arctic is almost entirely covered by water, much of it frozen, and some frozen features like glaciers and icebergs are frozen freshwater, not seawater. In fact, these glaciers and icebergs in the Arctic make up for 20% of Earth's supply of fresh water. Then most of the Arctic, however, is the liquid salt water of the Arctic Ocean basin. And some parts of the ocean surface remain frozen, so it's salt water that is frozen, and this frozen sea water, is called sea ice.
Let's keep a low profile.
Sea ice. And then we can find, of course, wildlife. We see this a lot in Assassin's Creed Rogue. In fact, we needed to craft some items. So there are a lot of different species that range from microscopic organisms like plankton, for example, to sea birds like puffins and big predators like sharks and polar bears. There are nowadays 4 million people in total living in the Arctic area. So indigenous people have been living there for thousands of years, and according to the Arctic Council, there are about 45 different indigenous people that speak about 39 different languages, and that's not even counting the dialects. And some of those languages, of course, are the local ones. So, for example, they speak Russian, English, and so on. But most of them are indigenous languages. So one example of indigenous people that can be found in Canada and Greenland is Inuit people. And at the other side of the world, in Russian Scandinavia, we can find the Sami nomad people. These are probably the most famous, and you probably have heard of them, especially the Inuit. So, of course, indigenous cultures face several challenges. The rights to land and natural resources are an important part of contemporary culture and survival of indigenous peoples in the Arctic. And these communities face tremendous challenges, often because of the result of colonization and exploitation of land and energy resources. So they have to fight a lot with big countries like Russia, like Denmark, like the United States as well, like Canada, for the resources and the energy the energy that can be found in the Arctic, because you know that there's a lot of gas, for example, in the Arctic. And on another note, European and Asian exploration of the Arctic began with Viking settlements of northern Scandinavia and Iceland in the 900s. Then Russian explorers navigated the northern sea route of the Northeast Passage and the Siberian Arctic, eventually crossing the Bering Strait in the 1600s, which are part of the famous Age of Discovery. So these discoveries are part of the Age of Discovery from the 1600s. The Northwest Passage, though, was not completely navigated until 1906, so 300 years later, when legendary Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen and his crew made the voyage from Greenland to Alaska, which took them 3 years, actually, and a very small vessel. But at least they managed. And, that's pretty much it. That's all of it for the Arctic. I did not want to include a lot, but I think it's still quite interesting. The exploration of the Arctic is still ongoing, of course. So, for example, Russia does still a lot of exploration because they actually have access to a lot of a very big area of the Arctic. But at the same time, Canada and the United States also have their own explorations going on. But I have to say that probably the Russians are better prepared because their icebreakers, the boats that have to travel through the ice in the Arctic. The Russians have a lot, and they are really well prepared. As if I remember correctly, the United States does not have many. They're really good. They don't have as many as the Russians.
Oh. But yeah, it's kind of sad that, like, you know, countries still take advantage of, like, Antarctica instead of just, like, leaving it to its, like, resources. And
I agree. I completely agree.
like I watched documentaries about Antarctica and, like, the scarcity of, like, resources that it's having right now, and even, like, the things climate change is causing it is, like, insane. To think that like, humanity still uses it and depletes its resources, but, you know, because, you know, it's unfair, but if it's stuck with money, people have to do it.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at least what they're doing a lot in the Arctic is they use the sea ice
Finally, you understand.
to measure how much loss of sea ice there is from one year to another to try and follow up climate change, you know? So they put this, if I recall correctly, they put this, I don't remember how they're called, but they put these gigantic rods in the ice, and then they measure the depth, and they take samples of ice from that go very, very deep inside of the sea ice. So yeah. It's not the only research going on, of course. I mean, in the Arctic, they have definitely wildlife research going on as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, what is it called? Like, all this research began when Captain James Cook, who was featured in Assassin's Creed Rogue, he explored the Arctic Circle. He was actually the first to circumnavigate the Arctic Circle and Antarctica as a whole. Like, you know, his job description basically reads as an explorer, and he was a great explorer. It was actually his notes about seals being in Antarctica that would lead to a great competition in, like, hunting for seals in the 18th century.
Just a note, because you said Antarctica, we're talking about the Arctic. Antarctica is in the South Pole.
Oh yeah. I mean the Arctic in like the whole sense. Like, he circumnavigated it, basically.
I think he was one of the people that tried to find the northwest. I think I'm looking it up now. The northwest passage to the North Pole, but he did not succeed. That didn't happen until the 20th century, the beginning of the 20th century. But yeah, he did do a lot of research, and he explored a lot, and of course, his findings were very important. I mean, if he hadn't done that, that would have been a huge setback for the people that came after him.
Well, yeah, and thank you for correcting me on, like, the.
Oh, that's fine. No, I did not want to.
Sometimes.
It's okay. People
I
get.
read
Yeah,
between
it's
the
fine.
text. Sometimes I read between the text, so. Yeah. But, dude, this mission is so cool.
Yeah.
It's my favorite, I think, of the game, because I miss Isu stuff so much.
Yeah.
This was a breath of fresh air for me.
Same over here.
Especially like killing Liam in this one. It's so, like, it hurt my heart killing Liam, but it's a thing you have to do. Fully be a Templar afterwards, right?
Yeah.
He didn't technically kill Liam. He fell to his death, right? Let us put it as that.
I make my own law.
Well,
How'd you do that?
yeah, I guess.
Did he?
I think he would have. He would have if he had to, though. Eh?
Everyone you
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
sided
But
with.
freaking Shay, man, you want to love him,
And for what?
but he's a Templar.
Yeah, he is.
It's like that post that Assassin's Creed made, like, he's a 10, but he's a Templar.
Oh yeah.
Quite accurate, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, this
Very
part is
good.
heartbreaking. Eh?
Yeah. Let's end. Let's end with the mission. Yeah. But this was great research, you guys.
Yeah.
Thing.
Thanks. That I really enjoy when you guys research because you always are so goddamn detailed on what you write. I try to keep it short because otherwise it takes very long. But yeah, also it's not really my field, history. So
Same over here.
Yeah. Thank you for doing the research, although it's not your field. Like,
Why not?
Achilles is harmless.
doing a lot of research sometimes gets to me.
Cannot show mercy.
but yeah, having people to do it with makes the job more fun and like easier to like talk about the research because teamwork is nice.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't mind it when it's like this. When we are all passionate about the games and passionate about the history, about the locations, about asking questions, challenging people. And it's not something that the professor throws you in the face and say, now you're a team, you have to do a PowerPoint presentation. So,
Oh yeah,
plus we're not scored on it, so that's nice.
yeah. Plus it's voluntary and thing like the whole thing that we do over here is like we do it out of the love that we have for history that the Assassin's Creed games have had in the past. But yeah, Rogue was like a challenge because like Rogue's time period is kind of that time period a lot of people don't want to touch. But knowing about it, like it offers so many great and fascinating facts about the world that, like, in retrospect, if those events didn't happen, modern America wouldn't have happened. So yeah, it brings it to be a wholesome amount of research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of in a limbo when you see the setting of Rogue. It's in between Black Flag and Unity and Assassin's Creed 3. So it's compared to all those, it doesn't seem that as interesting, of course, but it definitely works as a detonant for what comes afterwards, or at least it's a detonate together with what happens afterwards, like the French Revolution, the 7 Years' War, the Revolutionary War in the US afterwards. Everything together then amounts to everything that happened afterwards, and it's interesting to know to talk about this, of course.
Yeah, it's definitely an underrated gem of the Assassin's Creed franchise because like you get to know Haytham more in this game, and you get to see the other side of the coin.
Yeah,
too.
I agree, but what I don't like so much about this game is that they made the assassins very like just the conversation from Achilles to with Shay would have saved a lot of the stuff that happens in this game. You know, there's a clear lack of communication. There's the assassins looking goofy and strange, like actual villains. Like, I would understand if there was a gray area, but there's not even a gray area. Yeah, at least Liam still looks good, but Hope Jensen with the poison and everything, that was so strange.
It was.
So yeah, it's
the level of antagonism towards the assassins was like kind of over the mark, but like, you know, it also brought down Achilles' image in my brain, because, like, you know, in his later life he would be a good mentor, but he suffered through a lot of like demolition of his order because of the choices that he made, and like his lack of mentorship. I mean, his mentorship is not really shown. This game basically portrays Achilles as like a broken mentor of a sort.
Yeah. I totally agree. He was not acting as he should have, and I'm starting to think that perhaps it has to do also with the death of his own son, because I think Connor, his original son, I mean, he died before the events of Rogue, if I'm not wrong. So I think he was already broken at that, and then dealing with Shay and dealing with all his questions, and him really trying to have an upper hand on the Templars by looking for the temples and all that. And yeah, he's not very truthful with his followers, which of course is not that much bad mentorship as it is, but at least when it happens, you should try to explain yourself and not just say, "Oh yeah, deal with it," you know. If you don't like it, you can leave. What the hell? That was well, he didn't say that, but that was just such a stupid move.
Yeah, I mean, you see it in his response to Shay, like, you know, in the previous memory, where Shay's like, "This whole calamity could have been avoided if you just listened to me." And then Achilles says, "Disrespectful to the end." I'm like, okay, but you could have answered like, "Oh, sorry, Shay, we should have talked," you know?
Yeah, totally.
Instead he had like his nose high up, being still, like, you know, in the right, but yeah. Achilles, I did love that Achilles was included in the game. It just they should have done more work on Achilles. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had an Achilles heel,
so to speak.
Yeah. But at least, you know, that sets the basis for his behavior in Assassin's Creed 3. So they did quite, you know, they put the origin back quite nicely. Are you going to do the Easter egg?
If we have time.
Well, for me, I do have time, but I don't know if Arch wants to.
I mean, you guys. I mean, we're here. Let's just do it. Let's just. Do it.
Okay. Well, then let's.
I'll
explain.
This is gonna take a while because I'm gonna have to wait until the sun goes down.
You cannot.
I can't fast forward.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Can I? Cause I have the cheats.
Well, try.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't think it'll work with the cheats. Yeah, I don't think it'll work with the cheats. So we can do another.
We have a pumpkin.
No, but it has to be nighttime. That's why.
Okay.
So if you guys.
What do you think, chat? What do you think? Should we just tell you the story, or should we wait for nighttime?
Yeah, what do you prefer? Because for nighttime it might take a while.
Give eggs.
So James is in for the eggs, yeah.
More eggs.
Alright,
Do you want to
let's
do?
give out the eggs.
Do you want to do? Do you want to do a trivia while waiting?
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's do some trivia. James answered correctly the last question, so James, choose a game, please.
I'm gonna be off the chat for a second.
Revelations.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Revelations, James said.
Yeah, let's go. So, this is also a bit difficult. This is about modern day guys. Well, people. So, at the beginning of the events in Assassin's Creed Revelations, it's revealed that Desmond is in a coma and has to be placed in the Animus. What is the name of the safe mode where Desmond is?
Oh.
I have the feeling that some of the people in the chat are just looking at the answers online. Or maybe they are just as passionate as we are.
I think, and just to James, I think I know too, but I don't want to get it wrong either because I think I'm only half correct.
Okay, so I'm already going to tell you because it's not even in the answers in the multiple choice. It's not the Animus Island.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It is
That's
not that.
incorrect. Animus Island is incorrect. It's not even in my multiple choice. So go ahead. Try and answer. I knew it, James. That's why I said it.
That's what.
So the Animus Island is like the sort of quote unquote physical place where Desmond is. So that you would be correct. However, the name of the safe mode of the Animus, that's something different. Incorrect. It's not the Grey. That's where Juno is. And later Subject 16, and later Desmond, and probably Layla now as well. Spoilers. Sorry. Oh, nice. It's getting dark. Perfect. You know, I have never played this Easter egg. Okay, so if no one is answering, Meg would like to try to answer? Do you know, Sark?
I was gonna guess the black room.
That's correct. It's the black room. Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
Where...
So what I had in my options were black room, memory corridor, white room, or the gray, which is actually, I think it's a pretty difficult question if you are not into the modern day. So there you go. So nice. Okay.
All
so it's nighttime, so you can do that already, no?
This is the thing though, because like I don't know if I'm supposed to wait for a specific time of it, like specific time, because so to answer, so basically James asked, is this the remaster? This is the remaster. However, I looked up an earlier video and there's supposed to be a moon in the sky, which would Okay, there's the moon. Okay, I thought that there was no moon in the remaster because if there was no moon in the remaster, then we basically wouldn't have this Easter egg, and it basically needs to be like really really up in the sky. But I have to.
It is up in the sky right now.
It is up in the sky right now, so I'm just gonna stay right here. Hopefully something happens.
No, you gotta shoot. I think it's triggered by you shooting the thing. Yeah. It's gonna get cloudy right now.
Should I shoot it again?
Right.
Or trigger it. Let me see.
Strange.
You trigger Horseman. May only be killed by either. Okay.
Oh, here we go! Here we go! I heard the alert thing, so here we
There we
go.
go. There we go.
There
Alright.
he is. But he's not riding a horse.
Yeah, this is because horses were not animated for AC Rogue. So they just brought you the Headless Horseman.
Okay.
But
Well,
in
what were you going to say?
in Assassin's Creed 3, the Horseman is also there. That time around, he is with a horse, but Connor just puts him as like, he's just a man with a pumpkin head. So yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Headless Horseman myth from the Hudson River Valley, also part of, it's one of the stories of Sleepy Hollow, New York. Literary authorities consider it the nation's oldest ghost story, so a Halloween staple. About the town itself, the town is about 30 miles or 48 kilometers north of New York City, and it wasn't called officially Sleepy Hollow until 1996. When they decided to change the name from North Tarrytown to Sleepy Hollow. The town was founded by Dutchmen before the mid-17th century. And probably two of the most famous buildings in the town are the Philips Manor House and the Old Dutch Church, which is actually, I think you are very close to it right now.
I think
they were
this is
both
it,
built
actually.
by... yeah, right? So they're both built by a man called Frederick Phillips. Yeah, that's the church, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So the manor dates from 1693, and it had a watermill and a trading site, which was perfect due to its location at the confluence of the Pocantico and the Hudson rivers. From this house, the entire Phillips family shipped hundreds of African men, women, and children as slaves across the Atlantic. And during the American Revolutionary War, the house was used by the British Army because they were pro-Crown. And the British General Sir Henry Clinton wrote there on the 30th of June of 1776 the Philipsburg Proclamation, which declared that all Patriot-owned slaves to be free, and that black people taken prisoner while serving in the Patriot forces would be sold into slavery. So this served as a way of encouraging slaves to run away and enlist in the royal forces. In the end, the house and the family's lands were confiscated by the state for siding with the crown during the war. Then the church, which is he's right next to it right now, it was built in 1687. And while its main use, its use has been just as a church, it has a prominent spot in the story of Washington Irving called The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Its likeness can also be seen in the movie and series adaptations of this story, and of course here in the video game. Then, interestingly, if you remember from the movies and probably TV shows, there's a covered bridge. that usually you can encounter the Headless Horseman there. However, this covered bridge, it doesn't exist, not even in real life, and it was never described in Irving's story either. The cemetery bridge, so that's the one in front of you, Shay. Yeah, that's the covered bridge. It doesn't exist in real life, eh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the cemetery bridge, however, it did exist, but it has since rotten away, and it was located on the east side of the Old Dutch church. Then about the author, so Washington Irving lived in Sunnyside, a historic house located in Tarrytown, New York, so it was close to North Tarrytown or Sleepy Hollow. And he lived there from 1798 to 1804. And he wrote The Legend of Sleepy Hollow in 1820. So actually he was not living in Tarrytown at the time, he was living in England. And when he died, he was buried in the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Then about the story, so people know a little bit about it, but you probably know already. Ichabod Crane is a teacher that moves to Sleepy Hollow. There he learns about the ghost of the Headless Horseman, which is said to be a Hessian soldier that lost his head to a cannonball during the Revolutionary War. The horseman is most often seen riding by the church where he's supposed to be buried, and he's believed to be always in search of his head. I'm not going to spoil the entire story, but I can tell you that we're going to put in the description of the video, probably when it's uploaded, that there's a link to read the legitimate free copy of the story. So I found online a free copy of this story, and everyone can read it. So there's no copyright infringement for sharing it. I made sure that it actually says so in the file.
Yeah.
So.
Since it's a very old book, anything in Gutenberg would be like free to read. The Gutenberg even has like a general history of the pirates that you can go read, and that Darby McDivitt used a lot for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Like
that's great, nice.
Yeah, it has a lot of details about the pirates that you see in AC4 Black Flag. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you want to navigate for some other stories and some other facts, you can take a look at the rest of the website. We'll make sure that you have access to the link for this story, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah. Are we gonna kill the Headless?
I'm just waiting for him to kill me.
Why?
Oh, no.
Just so we can end this. Just end
Go shoot the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Go shoot the pumpkin.
Go shoot the pumpkin? Oh really?
Yeah. Go.
Go shoot the pumpkin again.
Go shoot the. Oh. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. That's how he dies. Like. You just have to find his grave. His grave is on the pumpkin.
Okay, he doesn't have to follow you.
I just wanna see what happens if he follows me. Come on.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
You can either rope dart him or kill him with a pumpkin. It's not that one.
No, it's not that one.
No. Rope dart him, like hang him.
Oh, okay. I'm just bringing him closer, just so I would see.
Yeah. Do that. I also want to see.
Yeah.
So it's the one on the tombstone, yeah?
He'll just
The one
follow
that you were shooting first.
Oh, horrible timing.
Oh, come on, he's so slow.
He'll run after you.
I have to say the outfit that Shay is wearing right now, I really like. I really like that you can put the scarf above your mouth.
Yeah, this is it's called the Assassin's Killer outfit. I think you get it. Actually, no, I'm thinking of another outfit. But yeah, there was because like another Rogue fan like recommended this, and this actually became like my new outfit. Like you can they said like freedom of movement, and there's also the mask. But yeah, I agree that like the mask is just built in. You don't have to like push a button just to engage it. But yeah,
Plus, it clearly says he's a Templar. Gee.
I was
You
gonna.
cannot search the corpse, can you?
Yeah, you
Oh,
can't.
that's a pity.
But yeah, that's how he died.
Oh, you can.
You can? Wait.
Oh yeah,
you can.
delay.
Oh!
Yeah, delay.
I just want to say what you get. So just money.
It was just
That's just
money.
sad.
Oh,
Oh, come on, that's just sad.
Yeah.
no. You get the number 13, which
Ah, bad luck, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
maybe it's a Friday and you killed him and you got 13
Yeah.
13 euros out of him,
Yeah.
you know.
13 pounds.
Um,
13 pounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah.
Anywho,
Anywho.
this was our Assassin's Creed Rogue virtual tour plus trivia. Thank you guys for joining us and listening to us talk about all the sieges and the Benjamin Franklin's that we talked about. I think, yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys
We
very much.
appreciate your attention.
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us and yeah, just hanging on to it.
Yeah.
I know that for some of you it's quite late. For example, I know that for Meg it's super late right now, and I really, really appreciate that she joins us every time that we're streaming.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Maraming salamat po, Meg.
Yeah. For Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, I think it's gonna be a little different next week, right, guys?
Yeah, because I'm not going to be available for anything, and I think Sark isn't either. So
Yeah. So I'll figure out something to do for AC4 Black Flag. But yeah, hopefully we can get the stream running and we'll learn more about the landmarks, historical figures, and historical events that go around AC4 Black Flag.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Thank-
awesome! Oh, James, I will let you know, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Alrighty, y'all. Have a good rest of the weekend, and hope you guys have an amazing week ahead of you.
yeah, bye bye.
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 Bye. Thank you again.
Bye.